Welcome, everybody, to another live recording of the Business Travel 360 Linking the Travel Industry podcast, where we discuss travel industry news we are talking about on LinkedIn. My name is Rian, and I'm one of your hosts today. I'm a co-founder at Agentivity, where we do amazing things with the booking data flowing through a TMC. If that sounds of interest or you want to talk to me about that, please do get in touch. As usual, I'm joined by Anne and Ash to help me talk about the stories. Over to you, Anne.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Anne. I'm an independent consultant and happy to help you with anything related to distribution, retailing, NDC, one order. Over to you, Ash.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ash, and I'm the host of a weekly business travel podcast called What's Up in Business Travel, where we give you only the important updates in under 15 minutes. Additionally, I'm the vice president at Traxo, and this is Linking the Travel Industry.
Thank you both. And for those new to the event, welcome. The format here is a bit of a spontaneous, non-biased, very importantly, review of the top travel industry posts from last week. If you joined us last week, you know we had a few technical glitches. And so if you can bear with us, we just want to recover one story from last week, which stood out for us. And that was the approval by the American Department of Justice that the Amex GBT CWT deal could go ahead. And my thinking on this is that I don't think we'll see much of an impact. And I base that on what happened with the HRG acquisition many years ago. And I think it will be quite a slow process for these two parties to integrate. That was my opinion. Ash, what did you make of that?
For me, this was something that I think is definitely going to have a huge impact. I think that the CWT employees are going to find themselves in a very awkward position where the Amex GBT employees who are already doing what they're doing in those markets that they serve are going to be the dominant person that is retained. Keep in mind that this deal between Amex GBT and CWT did find Amex GBT saving about $30 million, which was a good thing for Amex GBT. And the other thing also is that they have identified through the merger about $100 or so million in redundant costs. To me, when I hear that phrase, I think of people, it's not going to be, oh, we have extra computers and so we can get rid of some things there, some things here. From my side, unlike the AHRG merger, which was unique in terms of footprint, Amex GBT and CWT are exact duplicates of each other in so many ways.
They're going to have to act on those opportunities, right? It's not just going to happen and fall in their lap. So let's hope they do. And what are your thoughts on this?
I'm with you on this, Rian. I don't think we're going to see this huge impact of it. But of course, there's going to be, that you need to streamline the business. But it's going to take forever.
Well, it's already taken forever to close the deal. And so yes. I think this deal has been in the books for about 3 years or 2 years. It feels like 10 years. Yes. But for sure, they've had enough time to figure it out. I think it's going to be fast. It's going to be quick. They've had enough time to think about what it is that they need to do. There's going to be a lot of urgency from Amex GBT to maximize their deal. I mean, they spent $500 million on this thing.
I like the energy and the enthusiasm, Marsh. Let's hope it's also within Amex. Let's see if it's there. What's interesting for me to see was the fact that Lufthansa is also abandoning their plans to acquire a stake in Air Europa. This is, I say also, because just the previous week, Air France-KLM also walked away from this deal. It's a complicated deal because there's a bit of shareholding there by the International Airlines Group, which incidentally tried to increase their stake, but they were denied by the EU Competitions Board. We also know that, and was it Turkish that's still interested in this deal, or...
It's Turkish, yes. And it looks like that's going ahead. And I believe the stake is 20%. So question is, isn't that the IAG share of it? It's very interesting. I think Turkish Airlines could be really good.
That was just a separate post I saw as well. So you think, you don't think, but you saw that that's actually going to go ahead, the Turkish Airlines acquisition or stake?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay. Okay, next story, and this is a bit unusual for us to do, but this is including one of our own posts in the weekly discussion. But Anne, I couldn't help but notice there was a lot of interaction with this post, and this is the post by Anne about how frustrated she was with the Swedish Rail website and process that you had to go through with Computer Says No quite a lot. And so you want to tell us a bit more about that experience and some of the comments you got?
I paid higher amount to have a refundable ticket because I knew in advance that I probably will be refunding and changing this. And then, lo and behold, I find out that the so-called refundability was actually less €6. That was the fee. So not only do I pay a much higher amount, I then pay a fee to have it refundable. It's not really the money. It's not the €6. But what's really irritating me is that you need to be transparent about that and say, yes, this is refundable, less a fee. And that's what I'm missing in all of this. And then to make it even worse, then after I canceled, they actually sent me an email telling me how I should explore the city I live in, which I found absolutely hilarious. It's a terrible website. It's a terrible flow. It's terrible everything.
Well, I don't think they needed to tell you, Anne, that there was a fee. They should just have not charged you the fee. That's the right approach.
Yeah.
Hence the word refundable.
Astonishingly, I saw some comments there which basically took the side of the Swedish Rail, saying, no, that's perfectly fine. And there's too much, it will overwhelm the customer, all the information shared up front. I was like, I can't believe this is being said.
This is why no one should take rail and everybody should fly.
United Airlines last week suffered what was called a tech disruption, with many of their flights grounded for a little while. I'm not sure of all the details. I did see a follow-up post that had something to do with Unimatic or something like that. Ash, do you know more about this and what was the cause?
For me, the reason why this story is interesting is that this is not a isolated incident. Southwest had their meltdown where they grounded almost 1,000 flights as well. And we remember a couple of weeks ago from GBTA, Alaska Airlines had their IT meltdown. So these IT meltdowns have a common theme running through them. It cannot be for 4 weeks in a row, Henry, in that we are seeing systematically one airline after the other fall apart. It cannot be a coincidence.
No, I would agree with you on that, but nobody was saying anything to link those. Anne, any comments?
They're on different host systems. It's very odd that it all is happening at the same time.
Too much of a coincidence, yes.
I mean, the only logical thing that comes to mind, Rian, is that there are cyber hacks going on.
And you sort of target the most vulnerable systems in the equation.
And they probably hack them to a point where they realize how legacy the systems are, and then they give up. That's why they could get back on track so quickly without paying a ransom. There's a
well, isn't it true that the older the system, the harder it is to hack?
Yes.
There's something there, right?
Yes, so, definitely.
If you're an airline, then you probably don't want to let that word out. I mean, I think that the reason why we don't know is because they don't want to say to everybody, hey, we got hacked last week.
Yeah, most of the code was written way before those hackers were born. So we can sleep safe in that regard. So that's okay.
Finally, we found a good reason why technology should not evolve.
That's right. Yes. Now, guys, just to turn to the audience for a minute, we're not done. We just want to say thank you so much for all the interaction, the comments. Phil, Michael, you've already commented. I see Alex has commented there on Anne's post about Swedish Rail, saying at least maybe the train will come in on time. And then Michael Carter also commenting that maybe you should invoice them for all the time you spent on doing the refund. So thank you for that. Sabre Corporation announced their earnings calls, and right after that, their share price took quite a beating as their earnings call revealed that their income was not quite as per expectation. Ash, what are your thoughts?
This is kind of depressing, to be quite honest. I feel bad for all the folks that have a share in Sabre right now. But, the markets haven't opened quite yet. I think there's going to be a little recovery here, Rian. So I'd love to follow up with this to see where we end up on the next call. Definitely not a good look at all.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion. I think it will recover. And what do you think?
I also think it's very depressing. And you know that I'm a firm believer that we need more competition. And it worries me that the profits are huge from Amadeus. And we just see a decline with Sabre. That worries me a great deal.
This is the point where I should make a disclaimer to say we do not give financial and investment advice. We just report on it. So,
sell, buy, sell.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on this. One of the things I'm now including is the post that got the most attention in the previous week, and two posts really stood out. The first one was the post by Simon Hawkins, who just posted about his new role as the MD of international sales at American Airlines. That post got 1,800 plus, engagements, etc. So went definitely quite a bit viral. And then a very other interesting post by Daniel Underwood, where he was talking about his rail ticket between Manchester and London costing £386. And basically he was talking about the fact that this is a grave issue. I mean, it just stifles business. It prevents people from traveling. It's just, I mean, that is a prohibitive price point. So Ash, did you know that UK Rail was this expensive?
I mean, I'm going to go back to my earlier comment. It's better to fly than to rail. I'm actually jumping off this rail thing that everybody's on. I'm done with it. There's just too many things wrong with it. And this is a great example of what's wrong with rail.
And when you recover from your laughing fit there, what are your thoughts?
UK rail I think is the most expensive in the world, which actually stems back from problems of deregulation. So it goes way back. And, there is an association of train companies in the UK, and it clearly is not working well. But it is cheaper to fly, Ash, and you can fly on Ryanair from, I think somebody did Manchester to Palma de Mallorca and then back to London, which got a lot of attention in press as it was 3 times cheaper or 4 times cheaper than to go by rail. So if you're willing to spend a bit of time flying, you certainly can do it. It is very challenging that UK rail is this expensive.
I've got use cases of that prohibiting meetings because we've got partners of ours who are based up there and they avoid traveling to London because of this issue, and that's costing them business. So it's a real challenge. So, and most of the time then when you do get on that train, you might end up with only standing room and further delays. So it's not a nice scenario. I'm kind of siding with you on this one, Ash. Do something else.
Rail is done. They had their time. It was the post-pandemic 3-4 years that they could have done something. They did nothing. Here in the US, they recently made a comment, Amtrak, we're going to have new trains coming out soon. What good is a new train when you constantly are canceled and your entire system is falling apart? And then they had the audacity to say, we're going to be able to do a train service between Los Angeles and New York that's going to take 72 hours. Really? I want to go from Los Angeles to New York for 72 hours? Am I dumb? I could drive faster than that, let alone take a train. And on top of that, I can fly in 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like, are these rail people off their rails?
Except Michael Carter, he's definitely on the rails. Anyway, Michael, thank you for your comment. He's just defending it that it is possible to travel for less. I mean, he recently bought a ticket for £80, so it is absolutely possible, and we would agree. But I don't think it's hard to disagree, Michael, that rail fares in the UK are expensive for fact, and something needs to be done about it.
They should be embarrassed, is what it is, really. They should be embarrassed to charge somebody £400.
Got a new section which won't happen every week, we hope, because this is about the crazy post, ideally of the month. We know we have a lot of crazy posts, but I couldn't help but pick up on this one. And this is the fact that the India's aviation officials have rejected the short code for this new airport at Gaya, and it was meant to be GAY, and they've rejected it because, they can't have an airport called Gay. And did you see this?
No, I didn't see it until I saw it in your, I don't have words.
They say they are following IATA's guidelines, which makes it even worse. But I don't know. Ash, any thoughts, or should you just pass?
I'll take a stab at it. For me, it's interesting because you have to kind of look at this in a couple ways. The one is that you have the city called Gaya. There's also a meaning of what Gaya means. Gaya means sacred. And I think that the two things in combination might be in conflict with each other, possibly in their eyes, right? That's why they're hesitating. But then the best thing to do in this scenario is just to rename the airport something else. Yeah,
it's very interesting. I saw this in the post by Chao Ping Li, whose name is on the screen there, very small at the bottom. She writes interesting stuff. Anyway, that was our crazy post of the month, ideally. Let's hope we don't have too many of these. Okay, so then it's time to talk about extra stories. I did know this beforehand, so Anne, I did prepare you a little graphic. This is one of your extra stories, right? You want to tell us about this post and who posted it?
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting. This is Alexei Yanshin, I guess his name is pronounced. I believe he works for Sabre. But it was a good post illustrating NDC cost. And it really gives you an appreciation and understanding of how much work is involved. I think an airline should just, use its own API, be that JSON or whatever, and integrate directly. But it's not cost effective, and we know that. And this illustrates it well.
And Ash, do you have any extra content for us? We've got a few minutes.
I have a few good stories, which will be of interest to everybody. Air Canada just announced that they're going to revamp their Aeroplan loyalty program. and it's going to be revamped based on spend, much like we saw from British Airways, much like American Airlines has. So here's another major airline that has moved, and they're going to start in January 1st, 2026 with the new spend-based loyalty program, which I think is great. I'm a big supporter of these things because I think it brings in a lot of extra value to the people that don't travel a lot, but can still earn miles and points through their processes. So that was one big thing. The other thing that caught my attention was that Southwest and Booking Holdings have reached a distribution deal. And this makes Southwest Airlines available on Priceline, on Agoda, on cheap flights, Momundo. Southwest is definitely shifting gears. As we know, they made a lot of news this past year on the things that they were going to do differently. And I think they're gearing up for January, which is when they're going to launch their assigned seatings, and all those branded fares are coming into light now. So that's pretty cool.
Okie dokie. Well, I see there's a comment by Phil Douglas to your comment, Ash, about flying between London and Manchester. He says that British Airways do fly between London and Manchester for about £42 each way. There you go.
So why did this person take a £400 non-compliant for their corporation?
There you go. Okay, well, that's a different discussion, isn't it? So, guys, thank you so much for a great show. I just want to wrap it up by saying thank you to all those who commented. We really appreciate that. This is what we like. Over to you, Anne.
Thanks, everyone. And we really love your comments. And my stomach is hurting from laughing so much at all this rail ranting by Ash. Thanks for making my day. Over to you, Ash.
Thank you all for joining today's live recording of Linking the Travel Industry. We record this podcast live every week on Monday, and we ask that you share this event with others that you know. Chances are high that if you enjoyed today's session, those that you know will as well. If you ever miss a show because of time zone or availability, the podcast is available on businesstravel360.com. This is Linking the Travel Industry, signing off.